This is WOMM-LP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening. It's The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proxer, and with me tonight is a box of stars. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's so great to have you back in the studio. You were one of my first ever guests, so I feel like it's wonderful to see you back in again.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, a few years. We'll certainly get to that in a little bit. We're gonna do it a little bit differently tonight. We're actually gonna have 6 full songs. So we're gonna start us off with 2 songs. We'd like to introduce the first 2 songs you're gonna play tonight.
Sure. Yep. The first one's called Genuine the Blues. It came out like a week ago, roughly. And then the second one's called Mosquitoes, and that came out on an EP that we released in March, I think. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been keeping track, don't worry.
Totally.
All right, take it away.
Don't believe in eternal damnation, in prison wardens or unpaid vacations. You quit your job at the radio station when looking for that voice in the sky. But it gets lonely and it gets cold, so you settle just down the road. A little town where no one knows your name. Done it once or twice before, killing time at the dollar store. Stay out while it's still warm, listen to the cicadas sing. Jenny, you're still my best friend, even when your drug dealer stops answering. Even when the blues come calling, I'll still show up on your stoop. You're 5'4", but I swear you were 6'6", and if it weren't for your frame, you'd be infinite. You're a picture of the cosmos. You're a boat drifting in the dark. I can't count you. It's why I love you. I can't contain you, and I don't want to. I can't count you. It's how I love you. It's how I can't express you. I don't want to. Something's wrong, but I don't know what. The night is soft, but the sky hurts. My stomach when I stare too long, like a comet coming, going, gone. I'm not here. here. I'm not here anymore. And all the mosquitoes hurt, and all of the fish feel worthless. Even the tomato stars hate themselves sometimes, 'cause it hurts just being alive. Yes, it hurts just being alive. It hurts just being alive.
A Box of Stars playing is in there with Jenny When the Blues and Mosquitoes. Gorgeous, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As I said, pleasure to have you back in the studio. I think, first of all, we should go around and introduce everyone, as it's a slightly different setup from the last time you were in. So, Macaulay, if you want to go, and we'll go from left to right, I guess.
Sure. I'm Macaulay. I play acoustic guitar and sing.
All right, I'm Katie Hellman. I play bass and sing.
I am Bo Malcolm, and I'm playing lead guitar.
I'm Jens Hybertson. I play fiddle, play a little mandolin on the albums as well.
I'm Tim Haldeman, and I play drums.
Well, pleasure, as I said, to have you back in the studio again. And it's been quite the long hiatus since you were last in. I think it was 4 or 5 years. And the band has changed a fair amount. Macaulay, just yourself, Jens, from the original lineup, is that right?
That's probably true.
Kind of Tim.
And that's true. We had,
If we go back to like the first album, really, right?
Yeah, totally. We had like kind of a rocky start. We just kind of graduated from college and moved here together. And
as a band, you collectively moved together as a band?
Kind of. Tim and I were in another project that had this, I feel like, opportunities kind of at the end of college, and we decided, we were like, oh, let's move to Burlington together to pursue this band, while A Box of Stars was kind of happening as well. I think what had happened is the other band had broken up. We had been asked to go play South by Southwest, like out of nowhere, and we were like, oh, like we'll reunite to do this, and then move to Burlington as a result. But A Box of Stars had already kind of gotten started. And I think we had recorded maybe the first album at that time. But I don't know if we had a sense of what the project was going to be at all.
Not really.
So you guys came to Burlington off the back of another band getting invited to South by Southwest. Box of Stars kind of started as a project. You came out of the great album, by the way, which is one of my albums of summer that year, Days Drunk Off Heat. Fantastic. It really hit the mark for me. And then there was nothing for a while. I'm sure you were all doing your own projects. Katie, I've seen you in about 15 different bands in this time. How did you all kind of reform as a Box of Stars, and why Box of Stars? Why not like a new band, do a different name, that kind of thing?
Well, we sort of played as a Box of Stars around Burlington in a couple different formats for the past several years, right? And I feel like it's just morphed that way, right?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer.
Sorry.
Why? Let's see. I think I had been in a bunch of projects in college and felt really exhausted by like the name change thing, especially when like I don't know. I just started to feel like maybe it was acceptable to keep, writing songs and playing with, at the time, I think just you Jens going into COVID really. But Tim and I have been playing music together for like close to a decade, and so like I don't know. It didn't. I'd never considered like that it wouldn't be a Box of Stars. I guess.
I feel stylistically, obviously very similar. I think that the biggest thing that's changed between that kind of the proto or Mark One of Box of Stars and this Box of Stars is you, Katie. Your vocals are extraordinary. Just I always just brag about you guys all the time. I always tell people that you should come see you, and one of the biggest reasons is because Katie, your voice with Macaulay is we got this kind of Tom Waits gravel with kind of Jefferson Airplane over here, and the two combined is remarkable. But the proto Box of Stars also had obviously fantastic vocalist Caroline. I think if I remember.
So close.
Oh,
Claire.
is it Claire?
Yeah.
Ah, damn it. It's been 6 years.
So fair.
But Kate, you've kind of come into some pretty large shoes to fill, and you've kind of got rid of those shoes and put on different shoes entirely. It's so how did Katie? How did you kind of get involved in this?
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for saying that. That is really kind. Yeah, so Macaulay and Bo were roommates over the pandemic, and Bo and I started dating right at the beginning of the pandemic. So we were like potted up.
Right.
And we would share songs, and yeah, we weren't like, I don't think we like had in the trajectory that we were going to like collaborate. It kind of happened organically over time. Macaulay and I collaborate on some video projects for Bo and I's band called The Burning Sun. We make music videos together, and yeah, and then it kind of was like, Macaulay was like, will you sing on the album? And then we'll do kind of like a trade, because we'd just been offering these different things back and forth. And then, yeah, from there, from after recording, I feel like it was just kind of like, oh, let's keep doing it. So we live like right across the street from each other. So it's pretty convenient and fun. And yeah, me and Bo just like loved the songs we've been hearing. I mean, these new ones we hadn't heard until more recently, but like over the pandemic, just in song shares and whatnot, just really trying to encourage each other and stay creatively engaged. But yeah, it's feeling really, really fun. I've never played in someone else's band before, so that feels like really nice. And yeah, I can kind of like feel more relaxed. It's way more relaxed. I'm not like screaming my head off the whole time. So there's moments, but yeah, that's kind of, and I feel just so grateful. These songs are so moving, and it's meeting another like creative need for sure.
I'm curious about how some of these songs come together, because Katie, sometimes you're right there with Macaulay, kind of like duetting a song. Sometimes you just kind of like that little extra bit of spice in the background. Do you two kind of talk through this when Macaulay, you kind of introduce a song to the band, or Katie, do you kind of listen to it first and then put in what you feel is necessary? How does this kind of process work?
I feel like it's been pretty organic. Like, you show us songs. Some of them like for the ones on the album, Bo and I would like spend time with them at home kind of arranging. And then more recently, like most of the ones we're playing, Macaulay would just bring to practice, and we just kind of all go for it. And that's really fun. And then kind of refine it from there. But yeah, I feel like, but even last night, we had rehearsal last night, and there's like a new one. And I don't know, I feel like there's lots of possibilities for what we can do now that we're like, we've got a set down, and there's like space for sort of deepening and collaboration and seeing what can happen.
Yeah. Macaulay, as kind of Kate was alluding to, I mean, these songs are very sweet. They're very intimate.
Thanks.
I think what really works, at least for me and my partner Annie, is even though they're incredibly personal, they very much relate and kind of put me in a mindset of a place where whatever you're singing about, I've been in there myself in some way, shape or form. How does it feel to you to kind of bring these songs that are clearly very personal to, first of all, the band, these are all your friends. And kind of second of all, to like, as strangers, how does it feel to kind of stand up on the stage and kind of really bare your heart out?
It's interesting. I think, these songs, the oldest of these songs that we're currently playing were written kind of as like early days of COVID. And I feel like that was like a really big kind of like creative break for me, in the sense that like over the course of pretty much my whole songwriting journey up until that point, a lot of what I was writing was really kind of like abstract and dreamlike and dense. And I felt really comfortable doing that. And I think maybe in part because it wasn't hyper personal or revealing. And I could like find ways to create these scenes that I felt were interesting without kind of like giving myself away, so to speak. And then at a certain point that became kind of exhausting. And I don't know, I think just like the temptation to reveal more and write about daily life, like these smaller moments, became more appealing. And to be honest, I wrote a bunch of material that I thought like maybe like, can I share this, because it was more personal, like, it didn't feel clear to me. And honestly, like during the song shares that Katie was talking about with Katie and Bo, that was kind of like the first opportunity I had to share those songs. And I remember playing, I don't know if you'll remember this, but like I think I played Museum of Light for y'all one day. Yeah. I remember shaking so hard, being like, I shouldn't be sharing this.
Because of course you live with these guys basically at the beginning of COVID, so a lot of the experience you were going through, they probably were privy to it in one form or another, but obviously not as laid out as maybe in a track.
Totally. And it's funny looking back now, I don't actually think of that song as like super in-depth personal, but at the time it was like the most that I'd revealed. And after that got like a good response, I was like, okay, maybe this is okay.
It was more than okay.
Yeah. Thanks. But I think just because of that initial response and then like subsequent showing, like going deeper and showing songs that were even more on the nose about just it has felt increasingly comfortable. At this point, sharing them doesn't feel like anything. I think, or I shouldn't say that. It feels good. Like I think, again, I think a lot of the experiences that I'm writing about are fairly universal, and so while they are specific to me, I don't think they're alienating either to other people.
Right.
And so like hopefully it's a feeling of kind of like us all sharing something. That's the goal, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, it certainly works. I mean, there's certain lines that just keep on sticking with me. That are obviously your own personal experience, but takes me back to teenage years, to 20s, to late 20s, to early 30s. Song "Heaven," for example, that you made a video for, which I'll talk about in a minute. I mean, first time we listened to this, radio being and Annie cried. This is your story about you and someone else in a particular moment, but it's so kind of personal and so kind of universal at the same time that it can really brings those real emotions, and I guess it's the way you play it as well, and the way you set this whole thing up. But it's really quite remarkable, and it's why you're one of our favorite bands, honestly.
Thank you.
Well, that being said, would love to hear another couple of tracks. So what have you got?
All right, we're gonna play another new one. It's called "Movies Later." Hold my breath forever if I know what's coming next. Forever's just 100 seconds thinking about how I'm sick of making deals between my past and present yields. The future dressed in black steals forever from your hand. You're so pretty, you're so anxious, I'm so spent and I'm so aimless. Let's secret handshake our way into thinking we're in love. And maybe we'll get lucky, we'll get sober, and we'll get healthy, but still have no idea how to love you, goodbye. I'll see you at a funeral when our college friends die, or at a birthday party on the other side of remembering. How does it feel to never doubt the turning wheel, to never doubt the empty field, the seasons nor the rain? But it's not that I want the past, no. I want a photograph to live in like a little shack, an endless day. Your smile at acres there, the dogs asleep on rocking chairs. We're talking about the movies later, and maybe dinner out. Guess what I miss the most is joking about the friends we know, pressed together, warm and close, whispering aloud. So thank you, I love you, goodbye. I'll see you at a funeral when our college friends die, or at a birthday party on the other side of remembering.
In your faded princess.
And I'll be different then. But it's hard to say just how.
All right, Movies Later there by Box of Stars. So your sound is incredibly unique, so also the way that you've set yourselves up. I mean, not every band has a fiddlist, for example. Not every band has female male vocalists doing duets. Was this ever a conscious choice, or is this kind of the way that it kind of molded and melded together?
Let's see. Well, I mean, Jens and I just have a long history of playing together, so it's, I don't know what you think. I mean, I feel like it's just like felt like, oh yeah, like that's just, I've never like thought about it in terms of like a choice. Yeah.
Did Logan introduce you to?
Maybe Andrew Poyer.
Yeah, I
makes
think
sense, yeah.
we met in college through another musician that I played a lot of music with then. And I don't really know how we started playing together. Maybe for a recording that Macaulay was doing, put some violin on that. And yeah, neither of us have left Vermont for an extended period of time. And,
What else are you supposed to do? I mean, stay in a band, I guess.
and I absolutely love Macaulay's music, and like I think being supporting music like that is kind of a true gift. So,
Jens, as a fiddlist yourself, like a lot of bands put in fiddle for a track or a couple of tracks. Not many bands kind of have that as a standard instrument in the same way drums or a bass would be.
totally.
Has this is kind of a question for both of you. Has the way that you've written these tracks together, has it kind of been built around the fact you can have strings? That Jens is going to be there because you two, apparently are inseparable for the last decade. So you have to be able to basically build a track around that. Or is this, as you said, is there anything you've ever actually been conscious about?
It's interesting. I think there's kind of two sides to that. In one way, my playing has certainly been morphed, probably, through some sort of reincarnation through playing with Macaulay for so long to fit better with how I feel his music sounds right. And at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if vice versa that has happened, but I have no idea.
I think that's definitely true for sure. Yeah. No, I feel like us rehearsing is really kind of like this like the song exists and it has like its own little shape, and then all of us are kind of like trying to kind of like fit in around it. And I feel like there's always kind of like consciousness around kind of like where each part is going to go, and that certainly includes violin. I mean, like, yeah, I think just because we do have a history, and like, I don't know. I think in terms of like how that started, I don't know. I mean, I remember being like a teenager and starting to write songs and being like, violin and like female vocalists were like in my head,
Top of your list. Like,
Totally.
this is what we need
for whatever
first.
reason. And I never think about that now. It just is kind of like what's been going on. But I'm sure that like played a role in some ways. But yeah, I think what's it called? I feel like just inherently playing with other people, your sound is going to shape like, to them and with them, and like I feel like it's always happening.
It just makes me think that, you know, female vocalist and violin has always been something you've been writing for. Maybe you become friends with Jens because of this whole, you know, not consciously, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's why you end up becoming good friends, because this is the sort of person you're going to attract, and Jens vice versa.
It's too bad you didn't find a female vocalist that plays violin.
Could have saved so much money that way. Talking of strong connections, Tim at the back there. Hi, Tim. Not spoken to you too much so far. So as Tim let me know the other day, Macaulay, you were Tim's best man, which is very sweet. But also, Tim, you only came back to Burlington a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago.
3 years ago recently. Yeah.
So having Tim, like, you know, a college roommate kind of come in, did that change anything in any way for either of you? Did you get rid of the old drummer real quick when you heard Tim was back in town?
So I think luckily there was no one else to get to fire, because we would have had to do that for sure. Yeah, which would have been weird, but yeah, didn't have to go through that luckily.
That's funny, because even though there was like a hiatus for a while where we weren't living in the same place, I kind of like always assumed that we were still doing something. You know, like we were I was like, yeah, we're just like playing music together, but we probably didn't do that for like 2 or 3 years. I just felt like it was still happening for some reason, because so when I think about how long we've been playing music together, I don't think like there was a period of time where we just weren't doing that, because it kind of just feels like it never happened at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. That's really funny. I guess like, yeah, in reality, there were like several years where it wasn't happening. I like never considered that until now. Like it just like, it feels like so established, I guess. Like, yeah.
Well, everyone in the band's got strong connections. I mean, best man, you guys have been friends for 10 years. You two are partners. You live across the road from each other. It seems like this band was almost destined in a weird way. So, yeah, keep going apparently from the universe. We'd love to hear another song. So what you guys got for us?
Sure. We're gonna play a quiet one. It's called Haydn Song. Just doing a quick formation change.
Tim, you coming north? No drums on this one.
Stage north.
Stage north. Of all the ways to be afraid of time, never thought she'd be counting lines on your forehead before breakfast. It seemed curious, now you regret it. And I can still hear your laugh in the back of the van. It's an iPhone recording of your old college band. You look thinner, you seem lighter. Is that a correlation? Were you just less bitter? Haydn was still alive and drove 100 miles to play for an audience of just the sound guy. It didn't matter. You were happy. You were in love. Life held possibility. You knew nothing of the terror. Old friends getting married, TurboTax errors, and still you're hanging on. All I want's to be in love. All I want's to be enough. Don't know when the day's gonna come, but I know the way. Each day's a map. Brush teeth, eat breakfast, imagine freezing to death. Consider cutting your hair, and she crosses your mind at the predictable time, passing Walnut Street. Try not to despair, there's nothing to be done. When we lose the ones we love, there's no action to retract. Time's passing, remember or forget, it makes no difference. It happened. It happened.
All right, Hidden Song. That's a gorgeous gem. Again, a lot of very relatable lines, especially about TurboTax. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. constant wriggle in the back of my mind. So let's talk about you guys getting into the studio again. So congratulations, getting some singles out now. Jenny, When the Blues, which you played at the top of the show, is one of the singles that's come out. I'm not sure which the other one is. Is it Heaven?
Heaven, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful song. So when did you get back into the studio? Obviously, EP has come out. There's an album on the way, but when did this whole process start?
Let's see. Do you remember the month?
No one remembers.
No one knows.
I think
Lost to the
July?
sands of
that
time.
sounds right.
Last time in July.
It was hot.
It was hot. It was so hot.
It was hot.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're
Yeah.
figuring this out by temperature.
Oh,
I had
it was
3
like-
mosquito bites. It was June.
Yeah, it was memorable. We were all kind of like half joking but half serious that it was going to sound very sweaty, and I think it comes through on the record for sure.
See, the first album, Days Drunk Off Heat,
Yeah.
was also a very sweaty album. So
That's fair.
do you just record when you're very hot?
I think there's something to it. I don't know. This discomfort and yeah, exactly. Stimulating. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got kind of thick songs, you know. You wade through the songs that you sing in a great way, by the way. But it does kind of give off that, you know, kind of trudging through a river in August kind of vibes to it.
Potent.
Potent, yeah, exactly. It's thick. So you got in the studio last summer. Did you have an album in mind then, or was it like we just want to get something down?
Well, essentially, we keep going back to the song share, but I guess it is relevant. The songs that were kind of being shared at the time were part of a collection that I released, like home recorded demos of over COVID. I don't know. There was like a point in time where it was like, is this going to be possible again? Like doing this? And I think I just wanted to kind of like get them all out there and not think about them anymore. So there were 16 songs from that collection. We took 8 of them and last summer recorded them at Future Fields with Ian Steinberg, shout out.
Playing a show right now.
Oh,
He
yeah,
is.
right. He's playing a show right now.
Where's he playing? Who's he with?
He's playing solo at the Radio Bean.
Solo the Radio Being very
Yeah.
cool. Shout out to Ian. But anyway, sorry, go on. Yeah, so you got into the studio with Ian.
Oh yeah, to record those kind of like, you know, a whittled down version of the
Yeah.
16 songs I'd written over COVID. And I think I don't know. I think in terms of like other studio plans, like I have 10 more songs that I wrote that we're currently arranging together that I think will be recorded sometime in the next year. But yeah.
So the album's come out, and is there any EP songs on the album? And is that, or is it the EP songs and you got the album, or is it very separate. It is separate. The EP songs also written during COVID.
I think so. Most of them.
Songs were prior to COVID.
You're probably right.
They had like a different life before that.
Totally.
We're all very different people back then.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you've kind of got this trove that you wrote during COVID, and you're kind of still playing through them. Does it feel like when you sing them, it's kind of a snapshot in time, or has the songs kind of evolved as we've moved out of COVID, as we've ignored COVID and decided we're just going to get on with life anyway? But are the songs kind of like this snapshot, this moment where you were stuck inside with obviously great people, but at the same time kind of trapped like everyone else, or do you now feel that they're kind of evolving now? You've kind of given them this new life.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have like my answer in terms of like being the person who's like writing the lyrics. I'm also curious what everyone else feels about this, because I don't know, it might be different. But I think when I write, it's always very. I go through phases where I'm writing all the time and then not at all for maybe like a year, and so it always feels like a really kind of direct snapshot of a point in time. The songs from the album that we're putting out next week, this is like, I feel like usually I'll read a book or watch a movie and like an album comes out of it. This album is like kind of like, I read like Braiding Sweetgrass and then like wrote an album. And like, it's like Braiding Sweetgrass, the album kind of. Yeah, I think the songs that, we're kind of like rehearsing and arranging now. I went through a big breakup. When was that? Like almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy. And very quickly afterwards, just wrote about maybe 10 songs. Thought they were maybe too personal to share once again, but we're going for it. So,
Love it. I'm very glad you are. Just curious about so what was it a film or a book you read or watched that kind of inspired the album?
In terms of the album that's coming out next week, it was a book called Braiding Sweetgrass.
Braiding Sweetgrass. Yeah. Is it like you kind of put the book down and then boom, you were scribbling away in a notebook, or were you writing it throughout, or did you just always have it in mind when you were writing a track? And in fact, it took quite a while to kind of get these songs together, but it was always kind of centered on this particular book.
I feel like usually when other pieces of art inspire me, it's because there were things in that work that I had felt but hadn't been able to kind of like properly put into words or like embody, I guess. And I think there were just ideas in that book that I felt and had kind of like sifted through on my own before, but like seeing them in the author's words were like, oh, like, it just kind of like gave the possibility for my own writing. And yeah, I think that happens pretty frequently. Even like sometimes like gestures in movies, just the way that two people move will bring that out, I guess. Just like it can be anything really. Like I think, the way things look or feel, I think can be really fertile ground for kind of like bringing to the surface ideas that have been kind of like, that have existed within you for a while, but maybe just haven't like fully formed.
Right. And obviously that artist or author or what have you has finally put voice to those feelings. As you were curious yourself, I'm now curious about how everyone else feels about these tracks that obviously you heard during COVID. Macaulay brought them to you in these song shares. Do you see these as a snapshot, or as you've played them over and over again now, going to the recording studio, now seeing it coming out as an album, which, as you mentioned, is coming out next week, and I believe is called Something Head. Is that a call back to the book at all, or is that something else entirely?
There aren't really any direct callbacks. It's I don't know if there's really any themes from the book. It's more just a feeling, I guess.
All right.
I don't know. I don't think you certainly don't have to read the book to
I kind of want to now. If I'm honest with you,
it's amazing. But
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend. But
I wrote it down.
Oh,
that's what I was doing just a second ago. Yeah.
Amazing.
Braiding Sweetgrass.
No direct linkage though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious if anyone else, do you guys see it as a snapshot, or have you guys kind of, these songs kind of grown as you've been playing them more and got them recorded, and as I said, now getting them out as an album?
I could speak to that a bit. I think, Macaulay, you released those quote-unquote demos, which are really beautiful music, these home-recorded songs, like a week or two, and like after I moved in with you.
Seems
and they definitely, are emblematic of a particular time in history, in life and our life together. I also think it's funny because with those songs that are going to be released shortly, the process of arranging them was so much different because Katie and I were only offering harmonies. Whereas the songs that we've been working on more recently, it's a new band, and there's more conversation about arrangement, how parts are sort of speaking to one another, and I just feel thrilled to be part of that because I think it's worth mentioning. Green Mountain College is the place where the four of us met, and then Katie and I met in Burlington, and it was such a wonderful place. It's no longer, the campus is still there, but no longer an institution. And as soon as I heard Macaulay's songs, I was really taken by them and wanted to be some part of a creative project together. And by some circuitous, meandering route, we eventually landed there. Yeah. So I feel like these songs that are about to be released, they still touch that same spot. The emotion of that earlier time still rings true.
It feels like a fairly serendipitous spot for all of you, though. So it's to have songs that kind of are part of that moment, and to be able to just sing them now and to be part of your life now, actually feel, I don't know, from an outside perspective, it sounds like it'd be quite nice.
I feel like the album is like its own world, and then like the current iteration of the songs, they almost feel like different songs at this point.
Agreed.
Because the arrangements are different in terms of what we're bringing, and there's no, we don't have piano. It was an upright bass, so I feel like the album, the tracks feel like they're capturing a time, but the current iteration of the live performance of the songs feels very fresh and like emergent.
Kind of got the best of both worlds on this one. Well, we'd love to hear another song. So what have you got? And is it from the new album?
It's from, we're like really playing some really new stuff.
I love it.
I think most of what we're playing like during the set and like most of our live sets are from the album that's not released, going to be released next week, but maybe next year at some point. And it's because they're songs that we all kind of arranged together, and so I think it feels the most exciting to approach that material.
Yeah. We always love an exclusive as well. I want to hear it before everyone else does. So.
Total. Oh yeah, absolutely. Cool. This one's called Wong Kar Wai. This much I know you, this much I know you, this much. This much I love you, this much I love you, this much. Love you like the daylight, love you like the blue sky, love you like the night. Love you like a train ride, love you as the crow flies and the passing by. Love you like a downwind, love you like cold skin and tears in your eyes. Love you like an old friend, love you like a good end. When it's time, it's time. This much I know you, this much I know you, this much. This much I love you, this much I love you, this much. Like the movies, love Love you like a story, yours and mine. Love you like the last drink. Love you like kettle steam, like Wong Kar Wai. This much I know you, this much I know you, this much. This much I love you, this much I love you, this much. Love you like a warm coat, love you like a blue note from the window. Love you like a walk home, I love you like a brownstone, I love you like a house. 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 I love you like a house.
All right, Box of Stars there with Wong Kar Wai.
Wong Kar Wai.
Wong Kar Wai. Oh, Wong Kar Wai. Wong Kar Wai. So let's talk a little bit about the music videos you just got out. And I literally just saw them this evening. So I watched them both back to back and I was like, you guys just had a really good weekend in the Northeast Kingdom. And then it was like, yeah, the footage will do for both songs. So it's for Heaven and Heaven, and what's the other song that you did it for? Was it Jenny?
Music video?
Yeah, the music video. So
Oh, Crickets.
Crickets, that's it, yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because it's filmed in Super 8, which your music just fits very, very well with. But yeah, that's the case? Did you guys just go up to the Northeast Kingdom for a weekend and just got someone to film?
Party.
It was a birthday party.
Birthday.
Oh, no way. Who was on the Super 8?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something, it's like a hobby of yours, or did you buy it specifically for this? Do you know that your music fits so well with it? Is that something you had in mind?
Well, that's so like my day job. I'm a photographer and videographer, and
Right.
yeah, and so I work with Super 8 occasionally, and I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it does. It felt appropriate at some point. I think I had this idea. I don't know if we'll stick to it or not, but this conceptual idea where it was like, oh, what if every music video was just like, you know, a fun time with friends on Super 8? Like that's like the whole thing. Yeah. I think during college when we were touring with some of these people in another band called Ava Marie, I would film all our tours, and it would kind of make these like, you know, just like wacky compilation videos of driving around together. And I think the Super 8, you know, going to the Northeast Kingdom for a weekend and just filming the whole thing carries some of the same energy. And yeah, I don't know. I think, again, a lot of like thematically, a lot of these newer songs are kind of about finding meaning in like everyday life and small moments. And I think that Super 8 like lends itself well to that idea.
I mean, it looked like you guys had a ton of fun, to be honest. There was a lot of big moments that you seemed to enjoy yourself in. Although I did see some Oakledge Park. I was like, this is not all Northeast Kingdom. I definitely spy some of these areas.
Yeah.
Tim's cameo. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Holly had a 2-part birthday party.
That's
2-part birthday party. One in the Northeast Kingdom, and then part 2 was at Oakledge Park. So there's opportunities
Kept
for
going.
everyone.
I would love to get the location of that swimming hole. It looked amazing.
Oh, yeah. I'll fill you in.
Yeah.
For sure.
My fiance Annie is actually from the Northeast Kingdom, so yeah, actually, we were examining the video, being like, well, whereabouts is trying to geotag the whole thing.
Yeah.
So lastly, your new album, the first of two. I feel like it's your album part one, and then there's going to be one next year. So, but Something Heard comes out at the end of this month. Have you got anything planned for it? Is there going to be an album launch party? Are you going to be playing any gigs? Where can we see you? Can we buy some tickets, please?
Well, let's see. We have like a kind of a quiet summer. We're playing at the Dancing Pig Fest in Northfield, Vermont. That's on July 22nd. That'll be super fun. And then we're playing at Birdsong Fest in Middletown Springs on September 3rd.
That sounds right.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
also happens. I
So-
feel like
I think so too.
something's gonna pop up.
A lot of our shows have been like fairly last minute, just like hopping on board bills and doing that whole thing. And so I assume there will be more dates, but I think you'll have to, if folks want to follow along, that's maybe the only way to.
So
Yeah,
no
yeah.
like album launch party or anything. You just kind of you're going to be playing where you're playing, and that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, maybe this is like flawed logic. I think I felt because these songs have technically been out in the world as demos, I didn't want to make like too big of a thing about them.
Right.
Maybe that's silly, but I don't know. Yeah.
We would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just saying. In fact, you guys are in lots of bands. Though. I mean, is it kind of difficult to juggle? Well, Katie, I'm looking at you. Really, I mean, I must have heard you in four bands. I mean, I don't know how many you're in right now, but I think I can think of 4 bands that I've seen you in.
Well, they've all been just mainly. Yeah, none of them have been other people's projects until this point. So right now, the other band that I'm in is the Burning Sun, which I'm in with Bo and Steve, who was on Rocket Chat with me. And then we just got a new bandmate. But yeah, so it's mainly really like those two. I'm going to start playing a little bit with a friend, but
Playing
yeah,
the harp, by the
playing
way.
the harp, which I don't actually know how to play, but
I saw that in the Super 8
Yes.
film. I'm like, when's this
I mean,
getting
I'm
cracked out?
learning how to play it. It's really fun.
It's
You really
very
were looking for
small.
clues.
It looked like a really good swimming hole. All right. The rope swing and everything.
But I feel like, yeah, aside from just like me, I feel like we're finding a good flow with it. This has been like a bunch of days. We were just reflecting. We did like last Thursday we had a show. Then this weekend we played at Bo's mom's party. Then we had a rehearsal Monday, Burning Sun, rehearsal Tuesday, Box of Stars, and now we're here. So we're just like, ugh. But for the most part, it's not that busy. I guess we're just all busy people, and we're like
Hmm.
entering our 30s, and we're just like, trying to carve out and like hold that space for the creative.
Sometimes you need to sleep,
Yes.
for like 11 hours a night.
Yes.
Well, we got about time for one more song. I've really appreciated you coming in and playing like a long set. I feel like this is a format that we might continue on. 6 songs, I think, is a good amount of songs. But before you guys go, if folks are listening and want to find you, how does one find you?
I think it's pretty simple. I think we're at a Box of Stars for all of our online things. Pretty sure that's true. Yeah. Spotify, Instagram, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, yeah.
Yeah, all under a Box of Stars.
And the new album will be released on like Spotify and all of that jazz as well.
All of it. Yep, next Wednesday, a week from today.
Well, that'll be what I listen to next Wednesday. All right. Well, what song have you got to play us out with?
Adirondacks.
All right.
In the Adirondacks, the first time on LSD. Laughing in the water with Paul and Josephine. And as the bed drained from my bones, I wish to leave my body. And live on as a mountain fate.
A Box of Stars playing us out with Adirondacks. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. This has been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you, Tom.
Come in again. You got another album coming out
I
soon.
know.
You know what I mean?
Too many songs.
Yeah. Well, say 6 months from now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we've got time for this evening. We are off next week, but as there is a Labour night at the soccer team that I support, so we got next Wednesday off, and so we'll be back on the 28th with Adriana and the Bananas. But for tonight, this has been WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator, The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.
Cheers.
We kept it under 9 o'clock. That was great as well. Thank you guys so much.